Good morning. Nice to meet you,
Hi.
Lola.
Hi, good afternoon, good morning. I'm good, thank. How are you?
Good. And you're coming from England, London?
Yes, I am not London, in Kent, not too far from London though.
Oh, okay. And we met or introduced ourselves on Stage 32, which is
Yeah,
a great platform.
it is, yeah.
So how did you discover Stage 32?
Well, I think it was a pandemic, just looking at different websites, what are people doing out there? Where should I be? Where can I find people all around the world? And Stage 32 was just one of the websites that I discovered really, and I've been on there literally since 2020. So it's good. Obviously I met you, so that's obviously a positive. So yeah.
So tell us about yourself and
Mm,
what is your background and how did you get into movies? Like,
yeah.
are you not like me, obsessed with movies or?
Yeah, I'm originally from the UK, so basically, I've been in the industry since as far back as 2003, where I've always had a strong empathy that my career should be in storytelling, and I love to write. I've loved writing stories since I was a little child, and although for me it was never about getting the grammar right, it was always about making sure my story someone can read a story from whatever I've put down on paper. So I've loved writing for years. I used to keep diary as a child as well, just telling myself what I'm going through each and every day. So that's always just been, obviously, as I got older. I obviously back in the UK, I don't. Obviously, it's different in the US. Media wasn't that big of a channel for people to explore. You need to be in certain areas or certain families or certain. You need to be a part of the clique to
Yeah.
get into the industry. And obviously, growing up in the East End, which is kind of like a working class community in London, I didn't really have those channels where I can obviously access such people who are in that industry. So for me anyway, I went to school. I went to get a degree, and focusing mainly in science. But I also love science. I'm a scientist as well, just to throw that in there. So yeah, so I was just do. So that's what I was doing, for quite a few years. And then when I decided to just, I've got my degree. I'm still not passionate about what I'm doing with my science degree, working in drug development. I really want to tell stories. So I came across a young man, who's a good friend of mine called Paul Sullivan, and he's like a radical up and coming filmmaker at the time. And he was like, we can just do it ourselves. He had a camera at the time. This was, we were not using HD, we were using tape or film, 16 mil or 35, but obviously we couldn't afford 35. So we just grabbed the camera and we just used to shoot, like little stories, short stories at the time. And then I made my first short film, which was a good, I would say, good quality film, which obviously got screened at the Cannes Film Festival, and also the BFM Film Festival in the UK, which picked up an award for best short film. And then, yeah, I just thought, it's I can do this. I know I'm a good storyteller. I just don't have the capital and the network to obviously get to those certain spaces. So, and I just continued to plug away for a few years. And then I moved to the US, to New York to be precise.
Oh,
Yeah, just before September 11. And unfortunately for me, it didn't work out. So I came back home
yeah.
because I thought, I don't want to be waitressing. I don't want to be doing any ad hoc jobs in the US because I don't have any family out there. I was on my own. I didn't have the risk averse. I wasn't really that risky to just stay there and just, buckle down and just try and get on with it. I was very self-conscious that I'm not going to survive out there, with no family, not really, not many friends. So I came back to England and I just thought, let me keep trying it here and see where I get to. But it still was a struggle. Black filmmakers then they didn't really exist. And then I just obviously took a step away from the industry, had kids, came back, and now I'm flying, I'm now gun blazing everything. I'm trying to, I'm back in there now. So yeah, that's me in a little nutshell.
Yeah. So you have basically the same dreams I have, and you realize it's really difficult to get into that business. Now I know what it's about.
Yeah, it's not just one body. There's so many moving parts to making a movie. A lot of sweat, a lot of blood, a lot of tears. But obviously, when you see the final product, that's what really, like, I'm really pleased with what I've done, and I feel super proud of it. So, it's a beautiful experience. When you see your film, whether it's on TV or whether it's in cinema, but just the feeling you get is just phenomenal. You can't buy that. So,
So you're a writer director.
yeah.
And I've learned from Stage 32 that if you are a director, you should make yourself a short.
Yeah.
So you've made a couple of things now?
Yeah, I've made quite a few shorts. Yeah. So, as I said, my first was Hush. That was back in 2003, and that got screened at the Cannes Film Festival and the BFM International Film Festival. And that was my very first film.
Wow.
And it did really well. It was amazing.
That's incredible.
And obviously, this was the time, I was young and hungry and ready, and it went really well. Yeah. But, I think, but unfortunately for me, I think shortly after, I was still having a lot of, doors slammed in my face. It was still very challenging to get anywhere. So I just pretty much worked in the independent space where, just filmmakers who, just guerrilla style, really, just getting a camera, going out and shoot, and that's it, and do it, and hope, fingers crossed, that someone sees it or it gets picked up. So that was what I was doing. I was pretty much a guerrilla filmmaker, but that's not sustainable. You need money, you need income, and it's a very expensive hobby as well, so it's not just going out there just making movies with no money in return, so yes. I couldn't continue that for too long,
Yeah. So if you would like to, I know you have a film. Is it a feature film or a
feature
short?
film? It's a feature film, yeah.
You have one coming out. If you'd like to use this platform to pitch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whatever you'd like, you go ahead.
Yeah, so Purple Beatz is coming out in the US in October. And it's a romantic drama, coming of age story. It follows a young lady who is set in the 90s. This is for us 90s babies that loved the drum and bass, the dance, the trance, all that kind of music. It was big back then. Yes. So it's pretty much follows the journey of this young lady who's an artist. She's a singer, and she wants to make it big in the London city, because obviously London is like the capital of the world. We really want, if you want to be an artist, you need to go to London. So she leaves a little small town village in Bournemouth and moves to London, and she encounters this great guy who then obviously turns out to be her boyfriend, and she also meets this shady music exec. I'm not going to give too much away. This little some little tidbits, and then she meets this music exec guy who was also he represents the dark side of the music industry, which is obviously is there. And let's just say it gets a bit messy along the way, but she eventually finds her voice, and she returns to what she truly loves, which is music. So it's a musical-driven movie anyway. So it's really exciting.
I love the trailer. I love the main character.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm really interested in the music because I love music too. How did that go? I mean, I hear it's difficult to get. How do you get your music onto a script? Like, how does that work?
So music was very important to me in this, because it is a music movie. It's a musical-driven movie. So I was very, very, very particular in the kind of music I want portrayed. So it's a drum and bass movie. So there was a lot of drum and bass movie. I don't know, it's not really that big in the US, but it was huge in the UK. It was kind of like an underground sound for young people growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, mid 90s. So it was kind of like an underground sound that people just used to, people used to go and rave and have parties in these warehouses, like it was a crazy, it was a crazy time, but it was kind of like a rebellious sound, just young people rebelling against the powers that be on what they could define music. So it's a really gritty sound. So anyway, I was very hell bent on making sure that the music fits every moment of this film. So and we also I also took advantage of just reaching out to artists who are up and coming in UK, and and they've got their music featured as well. So it was a mixture of all kind of music, from young artists, from up-and-coming artists, from established artists of the time, like, and people who did actually create the music in the 90s. So we borrowed some of their tracks as well. But I've got to say, learning, obviously this has been a learning experience for me, making a musical film. And it can get very messy when it comes to music, because music costs a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, music costs a lot, because you're dealing with publishers, you're dealing with labels, you're dealing with writers. There might be a beautiful track you like, but then you realize that that track, the person singing it is not actually the writer, so you need to get approval from the writers. So it was a really insane but beautiful experience at the same time. But luckily, I had a great team of music supervisors, Andrew and Lauren, who are amazing, and they're based in the US as well. They just came on board, took over everything, and Julian as well, and they just helped us fix this music piece in the movie, and it works, and it works really well. So far, it's great. Yeah, the music it really makes the film. It has its own presence. I like to say music has its own is a character of the film anyway. Just like locations are characters, and and obviously people are characters, but music as well, it also tells a story. So I was very instrumental about, okay, this track, what is this track trying to tell me in this scene, and does it also help the story evolve as well? So that's kind of like my approach when I was looking at the music, which was really, really good.
So it sounds almost like music rates are like book rates.
Yeah. They're both very complicated. Yeah. Unlike books, you're dealing with an author, but with music, you're dealing with the writer.
The people that are in your movie, like the main character, tell me a little bit about her. She's very interesting. She's beautiful too, by the way.
Yeah. So when it came for auditioning, because I had an idea of what I wanted this character to be. Number one, she must be able to act and sing, because I didn't want an actor who can act but can't sing, because there's a lot of singing in the film as well. And I didn't want a singer who can't act, because it would look like very wooden. So I was just trying to get somebody who can like a double whammy basically, who can sing and act. Yeah. And luckily, Izzy Jones, who is the lead actress, she's both. She can sing beautifully, and she's theatre trained as well. So that helps, because she's obviously she's got that theatre exposure and experience. And in the world of theatre, there's a lot of singing as well. So she was like a double whammy, I'd call her. She had both, she can sing and she can act. So that helps beautifully. It helps, in the moments when we had to sing, she was able to deliver on point. And when she had to perform, she was also able to do that. So I found her, through auditionings. I did a long, lengthy casting process, because it was me, independent. So I had no casting director. It was all me. So, but I didn't edit. I didn't edit the movie. That's one thing I didn't do. But pre-production was predominantly myself. And then obviously I had my DOP come along, Violetta. She's an amazing woman who also helped. When it came to recce and all that kind of, scouting for locations. So it was quite, the casting process was quite intense, because you can get some, and again, because it is obviously an independent, so I don't have a budget for A-list actors. So I'm only looking for young actors who have a hunger and who are really good. And we were very lucky that we got that in these guys. They are amazing actors and actresses. They are doing great things right now in their various careers, and they delivered. They enjoyed the script, which was a plus, and so that helped. They didn't really believe in the character. You can see on screen, but they actually breathed the character. Which was perfect for me.
So you wrote a script. How many rewrites, and how did you go from a script to a movie? I mean, it's always the thing that we're wondering, us newbies. It's miraculous. Like, how did you do it?
Yeah, well, because funny enough, it was based off a short, but I changed it completely. So I had a short, which I actually, the short was shot in 2019, just before the pandemic. And then we went into lockdown in March 2019. Was it 2020? Yeah. So we went into lockdown in 2020, and we just, so the film was just shot just before then. And so it was based off that basically. But however, the short was a bit on the dark side per se, because it was about a young girl and her music, and also her boyfriend's influence on her. But sadly, the boy dies. And I just thought, we're getting into the pandemic and the world's messed up. Do I want to write about a movie about a young boy dying and all this? Because in the UK, we've got this knife problem that's, it's been going for decades. So I didn't want to talk about that anymore. And I just thought, I would like to tell this story, but in a different light. So during the pandemic, as we're all stuck at home, like everybody, we're all stuck at home, I just started writing and just rewriting. That was an easy write because I was doing nothing. I didn't have that many drafts to do, to be honest, because it was pretty much, when you've blocked out the whole day, unlike when you've got work and you've got life and you're here, there and everywhere, you don't have the number of hours to just sit down and write. Because I write at night, I can't write during the day because I've got too much distraction. But yeah, so we were at home all day doing nothing. Jack, nothing. Yeah. So I just was writing. So it was a quick one, and I just thought, and because I knew my feature has to be a cheap feature, as in money that I can raise easily. Yeah. With and for a few locations, and that was how I wrote the story. I had at the back of my mind that it has to be cheap. There's no action, no stunts, none of that, no choreography, just an easy, story that anyone can follow. And so it was easy to write, really, basically. Yeah.
Sounds like it's character driven.
It is character driven. Yeah.
Music's one of the main characters.
Exactly.
And so how long did it take you to film?
Well, we shot for 28 days approximately, or 25 days, because we had a couple of reshoots. So overall, probably about 28 days we shot.
So you just had all the connections with cameramen?
Yeah, Facebook.
Wow.
Yeah, so Facebook connected me so my DOP. We were meant to work. Wow. We were meant to work together prior to COVID, and then obviously COVID hit, so we weren't able to work it anymore. Yeah. So I just reached out to her, hey, I've got this film, you want to come on board? And she was like, yeah, I'm not doing anything, let's do this. So, and she obviously, crewed up her crew, her team, and wow. And it was also it was word of mouth and connection. Yeah. And I think the advantage to us was that we were shooting at a time where not much was going on. So people who would normally have been busy were free. Yeah. So my gaffer, who's hugely experienced, he had a truck full of lightning gear. He came on set with all sorts of stuff. So, I didn't have to source too much, equipment. So we were very fortunate. We were able to get a lot of material, a lot of equipment there and then, because people were available. Yeah. Now it'll be hard, but then it was quite good. So that was to our favor,
And how did you get the funding? How did you get the money?
Yeah, so the funding came from my pocket, friends.
Wow.
So it was all just self-financed, with some friends just helped chip in and obviously tax credits and stuff. So yeah.
This is what I think is always fascinating, is that the movie you see that wins the Oscar, a lot of times it starts off just like this, because those are the movies that are the best, ones that made from someone like you, not a big movie production.
Yeah.
That stuff's going out.
No, exactly. Absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, so I do feel that this was a blessing that you got all this done.
Yeah.
Wow. And so
I think it did work in our favor. Yeah. Although obviously COVID was a curse to the world, don't get me wrong.
It
was a curse to the world.
The silver lining, right?
Yeah, but we had a positive experience out of it, yeah.
That's what I want to talk about. I just made this studio. It's called Studio Cloud 9.
Right.
And really, we want to look at that silver lining around, the dark cloud, because there's always something good that can come out of what's happened to you in your life.
Absolutely. I agree.
And now you're into distributing. I mean, is that the next step?
Yeah. So we are.
How does that work now?
Yeah. So we got picked up. So we had a screening on the 7th of July at the BFI in the UK.
What's that? What's BFI?
So the BFI is it's the biggest cinema in the UK, the place. So we got screens there on the 7th of July. And so we got distributors there who saw it, liked it, and said and took it, basically picked it up. So we have our UK release on the 31st of October, and we go across all digital streaming platforms, Amazon, Sky, and whatnot. And then on the October we have our US release. I'm not too sure where we're going on that one, but that's when it releases in the US. Absolutely.
I definitely want to watch it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
After watching the trailer, I'm like, okay, because I love musicals. Basically, in Thailand, Bollywood movies, growing up, I just grew up with all that. So I love movies like that. The music is a character,
Exactly, yeah.
It's speaking to you also about something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Are you going to put it into any more festivals, or once it gets distributed, that's it? You just wait for it to catch on? Like, what happens now?
We actually come to think about it, we are going to be screened at a film festival in the US called I Will Tell. That's in Florida, I think it is.
What's it?
I Will Tell Film Festival.
I Will Tell?
Yeah, so it's going to be screened there, but we're not doing any more festival runs because we've been picked up now, and I'm not a producer, so I don't know much about how that works, if you've been distributed and whether you should go through 2 festivals after. I don't know the logistics and whether it's effective or not, but yeah, so I'm not sure. I think it's the other way around. It's best to do your festival run first and then get distribution afterwards, so rather than the other way around. Unless you want awards and all that jazz, but I'm not too bothered about awards.
So what's your title on the movie? Aren't you the producer?
There is a producer. His name's James Mathewson.
And James, what's your title? What would be your credits in the movie?
So I'm just the writer director.
Just the writer director? That's it?
Yeah.
Basically the mastermind behind the whole process.
Exactly.
Yeah, now I understand why they give Oscars to directors in screenwriting and adapted screenwriting.
Yeah.
It is definitely a craft. And you can be a good writer and all those things, but once you hit that thing, it's just but I'm so happy you came and talked to me. You're way beyond what I know. No,
I always learn everywhere I go, no matter how small it is or how big it is. I'm an open book. Nothing's too small for me to learn from, and that's just the way I go through my life anyway. Yeah.
Are you working on another project right now?
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm working my second feature, so fingers crossed we start shooting Q2 next year. Yeah.
Oh, so you've already got the script done?
The script is done. We're at the moment we're currently going through casting. So yeah, that's an exciting one because I'm not going to share too much about that one, but that is a neat.
Talk to me about it, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, absolutely. No, definitely. Because it's an amazing story and it's never been done before. It's an original. Ooh. And what surprises me is it's not been done before. And that's the beauty about it because it's not been done before. So someone can do it. So I'm going to do it. But it's a great story. And I've been sitting on it I've been writing it for the last 3 years. So that one's going to be a really interesting one to see. Yeah.
I can't wait. So are you into astrology at all?
I used to. Yeah, so I'm an Aquarian. I used to read it religiously every day.
You're an Aquarius?
Yeah.
Oh my, this is perfect. So wow, that's great. Aquarians are the opposite of my son, Leo.
Right.
I get along very well. They always say opposites attract, and it's
Yeah.
I feel like I've learned so much from you. And we always want to talk about the same things,
Yeah.
Even though we're opposites, we want the same thing. Isn't it weird?
Absolutely. Yeah. I know. I completely get it. Yeah.
I mean, are you into mentoring at all? If I had a screenplay, would you look at it? Are you into that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I've even when I had said the period when I stepped away from the industry, I set up my own organization where I was running training workshops for young kids who are in prisons or young kids who are disadvantaged, and they were making videos, animation videos. So, You know, I do believe no matter how little you've got, you should always give back to society or give to someone. You don't have to be in the millions or the billions or out there. You know, you could be a cleaner and still give to somebody. You can.
I agree.
You know, I'm a believer that regardless of what you have, still give. So I may not be as big as Spike Lee, you know, but I can still give something to someone. So yeah, absolutely, I'm all for mentoring.
This is why I love speaking to people like you, because you say you give me the chills, you know, because it's like, it's so good to know that there's other people that want good for the world, you know, and can fight through all the stuff and realize, hey, we're just the same.
Yeah, we bleed the same blood.
Yeah, we're all the same, man. We all want the same thing, you know, we just want to be happy. And a lot of us, especially in this industry, wants to help the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, your movie's going to get released during Scorpio season, which is Pluto, and you're getting ready to move into there. But Pluto's also going into Aquarius in March next year, just for a little bit. So you're just going to be prepared to totally come out a new person in 2044.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, so by that time, you could be as big as Spike Lee.
That'd be lovely.
You know what I'm saying? But the fact that you went out and grabbed it, you know, you knew it was time. And I think that has a lot to do with can't sleeping at night, too. You know, your mind's like, it's time. And that's what's happening to me. And I'm like, okay, I'm trying to get the screenplay out, but hey, when it comes, it comes, you know?
When it comes, it comes. Yeah, absolutely. And then you just keep moving.
Yeah.
That's it. Once. Yeah.
That's my problem, is trying to get through that muck up there. You know, like, which story do you want me to tell right now?
Exactly.
Stories.
Exactly.
Like, Mom, focus.
Exactly. Absolutely. It's a struggle. It's a good struggle. Yeah.
And I think children help with that, by the way. They help you kind of focus on what's important. Because before kids, I was just like, oh, what do I want to do? Because
you want your kids to be proud of you, don't you? You want them to know that Mummy had her own path, you know, not just nagging at me. Well, you know, do this, do that, you know. Mummy did her own thing.
And it's like a legacy you want to leave behind for
Exactly,
kids, right?
Exactly, absolutely.
You also want that road paid for them if any of them want to do what.
Exactly.
And this is one of the most difficult industries to get into, but now it is getting better because it's stage 32.
Yeah. It's open doors.
So I'm so happy to have met you. I'm glad you reached out.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Really appreciate it.
I really appreciate you. Really. And I hope we stay connected.
Definitely.
I have a feeling we will, because we're magnetically connected, Aquarius.